Part 44. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 431. I've thought about it, let's all go at such an old age, we can't go out many times, this time we all go out and have a look, the second aunt said happily. Shen Yun looked at the uncle, his wife, and his grandparents who responded positively. Okay, then let's form a Sunset Red tour group and leave as soon as we want. From now on, you, Mom and Dad, will be at home to look after the house. I will bring you back in 2 days. Chen Yun responded readily. Yang Kankan and the others had gone out many times when they were looking for Shen Yun, and now there was a naughty boy at home. They had no plans to go out. When Shen Yun said this, they immediately agreed. Okay, let's watch it at home. Sisters-in-law, when we no longer need to see the children, let's form a tour group for the sisters-in-law, Shen Yun said, looking at the sisters-in-law. Okay, go quickly, the sisters-in-law said with a smile. Let's go, everything is packed. It's the first time to go out in so many years. Let's take advantage of my niece's honor and go to the big city to see something. The second aunt and the eldest aunt happily went back to get their luggage. After explaining the good things to his family, Shen Yun refused the company of several cousins and set off directly with 6 old people. Oh, it's quite scary to fly so high. It was the first time for several people to reach such a high place, and they really felt a little trembling. Shen Yun couldn't help but laugh when he saw how a few people didn't dare to lean to the side and stuck their heads out to look outside. Don't worry about falling. There is a barrier next to this place. If you don't believe it, you can touch it if you can't fall. This barrier is invisible and quite scary. Let's just sit in the middle. As long as we don't fall down, the uncle said, pretending to be strong. The stronger aunt next to me had turned around and touched the side. Sure enough, she touched an invisible layer of knots. She pushed and couldn't move at all. This thing is really good, it feels better than an airplane, the eldest aunt said in surprise. It's like you've been on a plane. The uncle didn't dare to step aside, but he dared to laugh at his aunt. There were so many people here, so he didn't dare to hit him anyway. It's not that you don't have the ability. If you become a millionaire household earlier, I won't be able to sit on the plane if I want to. The eldest aunt still rolled her eyes at the uncle. Shen Yun, who was watching the 2 people arguing from the side, couldn't stop laughing. This is no better than that plane. Others can't sit on it even if they want to. Don't be so demanding, the uncle muttered in a low voice, but he didn't quarrel with the aunt again. Shen Yun didn't walk very fast along the way. When he met places of interest, Shen Yun would take them down for a walk and eat local specialties. If you don't want to come down, Shen Yun also prepared a lot of food above. Everyone was eating and playing along the way, and they arrived at the place without realizing it. Shen Yun descended far away from the military camp in advance. Let's go on this journey. No private flights are allowed ahead, Shen Yun said to several elders. Okay. Several people also wanted to see what Shen Hong and the others were like where they lived. It took several people half an hour to walk to the gate post. He and the people at the gate showed their IDs and explained who they were looking for, and Shen Yun and the others waited outside with the soldiers on duty. They can only go in until Shen Hong and others come to pick him up. Even though Shen Yun was of high rank but did not belong to the army, the soldiers on duty kept them out without mercy. He simply didn't keep them waiting for too long, and Shen Jian ran over quickly after a while. Grandma, parents, uncles, and aunts, you are here from a distance, Shen Jian happily greeted the people standing at the door. They haven't seen each other for 2 years. Unlike Shen Yun, who can still go to the mountain and take a look through the window when he wants to. The second aunt and grandma can't hold their nerves when they see people. He went up and hugged the person while crying, and hit Shen Jian with his hands. The sound of the beating made the second uncle, who was about to say something, shut up. Oh, grandma, please be gentle, You haven't seen each other for so long, why do you hit me when you come up? Shen Jian protected the two women around him from falling while still enduring the blows of love. For a moment, the look on his face, I can't control my expression. Shen Yun looked at the two soldiers standing guard next to him and couldn't help but squint his eyes, and quickly interrupted the scene of acknowledging relatives. Grandma and aunt, it's hard to come here, let's follow Shen Jian in to see their daily living environment, so that you can rest assured at home, Shen Yun reminded. Yes, 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 you, a brat, almost did something bad by the way, your brother, why didn't you come? The uncle quickly interrupted. My brother is refining elixirs, and it's a critical moment. I can't leave, so I came here. Shen Jian was finally let go by the two people and quickly explained. Okay, can we go in? Shen Quiliang asked the key question. Neng, I have already told the leaders. They heard my sister coming and wanted her to teach them some tricks. You guys come in with me quickly, Shen Jian said to the soldiers on duty and took him with him. Shen Yun and the others walked inside. The further you go inside, the more you can see trained soldiers. Look at that place where we usually train. Shen Jian pointed to the place where there were people. This place is really big, bigger than the cultivated land in our mountain col in Baiyun village, the uncle said with emotion. It's big, and there are quite a lot of people, but I haven't seen a single female soldier. Will you and your brother be able to find a partner in this life? The second aunt, who was still not giving up, felt like she was about to give up completely when she saw the situation in the military camp. The family can still have something to think about. After all, Shen Jian and the others can meet girls when they go to town. It has been almost half an hour since they came in, and it seems that all the mosquitoes they see are male. Mom, we came to the military camp to serve the motherland, not to find a partner. Your thinking is a bit slippery. Shen Jian used to be scared when he heard this, but now he is rude to his mother. Little bastard, you are so unlucky that you dare to speak to your mother like that. The second uncle looked at the son in a different light. If I didn't let you serve the motherland, I should have broken your legs and kept you at home. The second aunt stared at Shen Jian and said bitterly, stretching out her hand to say hello to his ear. Mom, I was wrong. They are all my teammates outside. Why is your son now a squad leader? Give me some face. Shen Jian is flexible and flexible. When he saw that his mother was about to take action, he immediately jumped up without saying a word. I'm scared. The second aunt turned around and took a look. There were indeed many people there. She glared at Shen Jian and lowered her hand. Where's your brother? Take us to see your brother. My brother and the others are not allowed to go there. Let's do this. I will take you to our cafeteria to eat and try our food, Shen Jian actively suggested. There is really nothing to see in the military camp, and many places cannot be visited, so he could only think of this idea. Everyone who came simply gave him respect and followed him towards the canteen. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 432. It's already past lunchtime, and there aren't many people in the cafeteria at this time. Several people came in, and the few people who were eating took one look and then looked away. The family experienced a rich military lunch in the canteen. I really didn't expect that the food here is so good. I was worried that you wouldn't starve and lose weight outside. The second aunt saw her second son this time and didn't think about it anymore. She could only think about not having the pain of her daughter-in-law. The curiosity towards his own son has also passed. We don't come here to eat in the canteen very often. After all, as cultivators, it's not good for us to eat too much impurity-laden food, so we only come here to try it when we are hungry, Shen Jian said nonchalantly. What awaited me was the second aunt's eyes. The conditions are better now. It would be great if the kids in the family didn't have to eat when they couldn't eat before. Mom, my brother sent a message, saying that he is finished over there and will come to see us in a while. Let's eat slowly and wait for him. My brother hasn't eaten in several days. It just so happens that my brother also has a half day off today. I can accompany you. Shen Jian felt that his mother was dissatisfied with him, and immediately called his brother over. If someone shared the firepower with him, he would not have to be targeted alone, and he could be targeted together with his brother. Okay, okay, okay. They didn't have to wait long before they saw Shen Hong appearing at the door of the cafeteria. This way Shen Jian was afraid that Shen Hong wouldn't see him, so he jumped up to greet people. Shen Hong originally wanted to pretend he didn't see it, but after looking at the people sitting next to him, he immediately came over. Hurry up and eat. Grandma also waved next to her. Grandparents, parents, uncles, and aunts, you guys are here. I was refining elixir just now. Shen Hong is much calmer than Shen Jian. I know you're busy. If you have nothing to do, hurry up and eat. We've reserved it just for you, Grandma said kindly, pulling the person to sit next to her. In a short time, the bowls in front of Shen Hong were piled up. Shen Jian. This difference in treatment is a bit obvious. Where's mine? Shen Jian picked up his empty bowl. Didn't you say that you don't eat much at all? Your brother didn't say that. The second uncle accurately started to dismantle the situation. Humph. Shen Jian pretended to be angry. After a while, there were 3 more bowls of food in front of him, and the little joke ended. After dinner, they followed Shen Jian and the others around the military camp. As for Shen Yun, of course he was pulled over to be a sparring partner. Although improving his cultivation is the most important thing now, there is still combat training in the army. Shen Yun he was roped in as a sparring partner. Stayed in the military camp until the next night, and then took a few people to say goodbye to Shen Hong and the others. How about we take a rest tonight and show you the capital tomorrow, and then we can slowly go back for some fun. Shen Yun planned the itinerary for a few people. How about we go back? We've been out for so many days, it seems to be nearly a week. Didn't we say we'd go back in 2 days? The second aunt was a little embarrassed. This time she wanted to take care of her children. It took so long. It's okay. We'll all arrive in Beijing this day, so let's go and have a look. Wouldn't it be a pity otherwise? Shen Yun's view was this. I'm just going to delay tomorrow. You've already come here. Let's go home tomorrow night. After seeing it, Shen Kuliang also wanted to visit the capital city. He is already so old and will only come here once in his life. No, it's really a pity to go and see it. Okay, then it's settled. Shen Yun made the decision directly. Early in the morning of the next day, before dawn, I took the people to the city to play. After playing for a day, everyone except Shen Yun was tired and out of breath. Go home, go home. Shen Kuliang didn't expect to be so tired after going out to play seriously. He clearly didn't feel this way a few days ago. This decision was unanimously approved by everyone. Shen Yun originally wanted to take a few people to take other roads to have fun, but seeing the state of several people, he could only rush home. The flying carpet flew at full speed, and we arrived home in less than an hour. Oh, it's still comfortable at home, the uncle said with a sigh. Shen Yun could only say that this was the truth. Because of the spirit gathering array he had set up, the spiritual energy concentration inside the mountain was much higher than outside. Even if the uncle and the others were ordinary people, they would be more comfortable at home than outside. Grandpa and Grandma, take a good rest. We'll talk about anything tomorrow. Shen Yun saw that several people were very tired and sent them to the house without disturbing them again. Go back to the mountain to rest for a while, and the night passed. Think about the new news I heard this time when I went to Beijing. The foundation establishment pill is currently in place, and the spiritual energy of 40,000 people has accumulated enough. The foundation establishment will be completed in the next few days. Time is running out. I am still 2 levels behind my level of cultivation during the tribulation period. If I don't practice in seclusion, I will not be able to catch up with them in the process of forming elixirs. Early the next morning, Shen Yun told his family that he would have to stay in seclusion next time, and this time it might be longer than last time. Okay, 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 you should practice hard. It's a good thing for us to be so motivated. The family members were stunned when they heard this. Yang Xiaoko was the first to react. After looking at Yang Kankan's and others' expressions, he said quickly, "There is no reason to stop children from making progress. There's no need to rush if you practice slowly. Why do you have to be in solitary confinement for a long time? Wouldn't we improve if we practice every night?" Shen Xing was puzzled. "Retreating can make me more concentrated. I don't want to wait for the day when I need strength to work hard. I want to improve my strength now." Shen Yun gave them the answer, "Just like what happened to Shen Jian at that time, it's the same thing. If I hadn't been strong enough, he wouldn't have had to lie down for more than a year before he was revived." As soon as he said this, no one said anything. After all, no one could guarantee whether there would be any danger in the future. Shen Xing had not forgotten their encounter with the Demon King. "Mom supports you to practice well. It's on the mountain anyway. If I miss you, go up and have a look. If something happens, you are in retreat anyway and you are not going to another place. I can wake you up, right?" Yang Kankan took Shen Yun's hand and said with a smile. "I'm sorry, Mom, I can't stay with you anymore." Shen Yun thought about how long it had taken since he had been back, and he really hadn't spent a long time with his family. He was either going out or on his way out. "Oh, don't say that. As long as you are well, you will stay with us no matter what." "Aren't you staying with us in retreat in the mountains?" Yang Kankan explained. "That's right, we know where you are, so we won't worry. We are all adults, and we are not children who still need to be accompanied," Shen Liman said with a smile. Yes, 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 hurry up and practice. Don't think so much. We all support you." Shen Kuliang began to urge people directly. In the end, Shen Yun was driven up the mountain. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 433. I first left a bell at the door and told my family that if there was anything important, I would ring the bell. After settling down the people at home, Shen Yun directly placed a barrier in the room and started practicing. Spiritual energy surged toward him. This was a scene in Zhenjiashan. Every day when the family members opened their eyes, they would look up at the situation above. Year after year, the old man bent over and his hair turned gray. The child is gradually growing taller. Our family will be able to do great things in the future. It's been more than 5 years since we have been so calm. Yang Xiaoko was picking vegetables and said to the eldest daughter-in-law and the second daughter-in-law, who were about the same age and appearance, next to her. Isn't it? They don't have to worry about practicing at home every day. Unlike the two brats in our family who don't come back for such a long time, I have only met Shen Jian's partner once in so many years, and he is still getting married. Time, Lu Xiaofeng complained. Okay, everyone is developing their careers, why are you in a hurry? Look at the three of us, none of them want to go out. They are so worthless. Wang Ifen was not polite when complaining about her son. As we get older, some miss their children, and some are troubled by their sons and grandsons at home. Yang Xiaoko watched the eldest daughter-in-law envy the second daughter-in-law, and the second daughter-in-law envied the eldest daughter-in-law, and couldn't help but laugh beside her. She had nothing to worry about, and the children were all nearby. She also has many grandchildren, and leaving home for both of them is not a big deal. Hey, do you feel that the wind has gotten stronger? Wang Ifen suddenly said after several people chatted for a while. I have a feeling that the 4 seasons are almost the same in this valley. Why does it feel like the wind is strong this time? Lu Xiaofeng was also a little confused. Hearing what the two daughters-in-law said, Yang Xiaoko looked up and suddenly felt that the stable spiritual energy in the valley was surging crazily and flying in one direction. There's something going on over there. I'll go up and have a look. Yang Xiaoko stood up and was shaken by the huge spiritual energy flow before he left. Mom, you can't go up now, the situation is very dangerous. The two people next to him quickly helped the person. This is very similar to what happened when they were promoted. They should be fine, Wang Ifan said soothingly. Grandma, are you okay? Come in with me quickly. Shen Chen was the first to realize something was wrong. He put the rest of the family into the room. When he came out, he saw 3 people picking vegetables by the river. He quickly came over to protect them. Personal. Your sister. Don't worry, third uncle and the others went over to check on the situation and will be back soon, Shen Chen said quickly. Bringing the 3 people here into the house, Shen Liman and his wife, who planned to go up the mountain for a look, also came back. What's going on? Shen Quiliang asked anxiously as he looked at the people coming in. We can't get close to Yunyun's room, but looking at this situation, it should be caused by Yunyun's promotion. Don't worry, we will wait and see the situation, Shen Liman said quickly. If you didn't see the situation clearly, then why did you come down? Look at what you 2 parents did. You came down without seeing the child's condition clearly. Why are you so worried? Shen Quiliang couldn't help but say. The situation outside is dangerous. We can't stand any longer. Lyman and Ken have just gotten close, and it would be even worse if they get involved again and delay their cultivation, Yang Xiaoko advised at the side. Why? Then let's take a look at the situation here. Shen Quiliang stopped talking. When the family's house was built, it was built using formation methods, so it was very strong. They stood in front of the window and watched from a distance the bright white tornado on the top of the mountain rolling straight towards Chen Yun's house, and their hearts were filled with fear. Lifted it up. Shen Yun's situation on the mountain was not as dire as it seemed. As early as the first year of seclusion, she successfully reached the transformation stage. In the remaining years, she worked hard to get closer to the integration stage. Today, she finally reached the edge. She directly set up an enhanced version of the spirit gathering array around herself. Although this will make the muscles and veins in the body feel slightly painful, the feeling of slowly increasing cultivation level is very pleasant. Feeling the incoming spiritual energy, Shen Yun worked hard to mobilize the spiritual energy to rotate crazily in his veins, and then the external spiritual energy was transferred and entered the body of the Danshan villain. Compared to the Yuanying stage, the little man in Danshan has a more restrained aura. This time he is meditating with peace of mind. His calm appearance is exactly the same as that of Shen Yun outside. This is the second life of a practitioner. Shen Yun had been practicing this kind of high-intensity training for an unknown number of days, but he felt as if a certain level in his body had been cleared, and he had naturally entered the integration stage. When his cultivation level stabilized, Shen Yun cancelled the spirit gathering formation and stood up with a relaxed body. Looking at the little paper crane outside, Shen Yun waved his hand and started looking at it. They were all sent by people I knew from outside, some asking for advice on alchemy and formations. Shen Yun quickly sent the messages back. Looking at the progress of the original plan, that group of people basically succeeded in building the foundation. Even if their qualifications are not top-notch after such a long time, they have reached the middle stage of the foundation building in the past few years. There is not much time left for Shen Yun. Shen Yun thought about the little goldfish in the magma. It seemed that he had to collect it this time. Otherwise, it would be a bit difficult for him to quickly reach the stage of transcending the tribulation. After packing up these little paper cranes and using the cleaning technique on his room, Shen Yun walked out of the room. As soon as he walked out, he was stunned. If he hadn't confirmed that the formation he had set up was still there, Shen Yun would have thought there was a tornado in the mountain. The houses are all in good condition, but the trees are leaning here and there. Some plants have been uprooted and are hanging on the roofs and big trees. Shen Yun quickly looked into the valley to feel it. Fortunately, his family members were still down there and nothing happened. She raised her feet and hurriedly walked downstairs. Mom, Dad, grandparents, uncle, are you all okay? Shen Yun started shouting from a distance. She was still there, but she didn't know if she was injured. Yun Yun, you finally came out. How are you? Are you okay? The strong wind had just stopped, and they were thinking of going out to pack their things. Unexpectedly, they heard Shen Yun's voice. They all got excited and hurried outside. Come running. Both parties felt relieved when they saw that the other was fine. Through their explanation, Shen Yun found out that for some reason in the past few days, there was a tornado above his house, and they couldn't get up. She was probably promoted and didn't dare to go up to disturb it, so she was worried. Shen Yun thought about the enhanced version of the spirit gathering array he had set up, and then thought about his behavior of barely improving his cultivation. It turned out that all these situations in the valley were caused by himself. I didn't expect it would cause such a big noise, Shen Yun said, a little embarrassed. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 434. It's okay, there's food at home. We haven't been out for the past few days. It sounds scary, but it doesn't have any impact. Don't you think our house is fine? Shen Liman comforted him from the side. No, you should go out and have a look. Shen Yun thought that a few people hadn't gone out yet, so they might not have seen the situation on the mountains beyond the valley. It's broken, Uncle Shen. The wind has been blowing hard these days, and a lot of the vegetation in our house has been uprooted. Please come out and help me. Teacher Lu and I are really too busy. Before he could wait, when they went out, the new agricultural researcher behind the house hurried over. Originally it belonged to Teacher Lu and another teacher, but the other one got married and went back to his hometown. Teacher Liu's family came over and lived at the back of the valley where the researcher lived. They also introduced a young man, now Shen. After Hong left, Zhang Ji and the others were also helping to make alchemy in the capital, so these three people took care of the spiritual plants and other things at home. Shen Yun thought about the scene he just came out of. It was true that the three of them were a little overwhelmed. Those big trees were not something that the three of them could move. Okay, come and help. Shen Yun thought that this was the result of his own making, and he had to help clean up the mess. As soon as Shen Yun went out, the rest of the family ran out. There was not much damage in the valley, but looking to the side, things were different on the mountain. Trees collapsed and spiritual plants flew to the roof. The movement is indeed a bit loud. Shen Kuliang said hesitantly. It's really similar to the typhoon situation in the south before. Shen Hong also expressed his own opinion. His sister is really awesome. Going out is a natural disaster. Fortunately, there is a barrier on the mountain, otherwise the people outside the mountain skin has not yet been lifted. Stop talking and go over to help. Mom, help me look after the child. Shen Hong and I will go over to help. Hu Yan entrusted the child to her mother-in-law and pulled Shen Hong outside. She usually goes out to work, and works in her aunt's factory. This time she came back to see her family during the vacation, but she was trapped at home for several days. When she went out and saw this, she couldn't leave, so she first took care of her family. Let's get back to work after the matter is taken care of. Let's go, there are more people, there is strength. With a bang, all the young people in the room came out. Several of their mountains are planted with spiritual plants, which are good for making elixirs. They cannot just leave them alone. Shen Yun and the others, under the guidance of researcher Lu, spent 5 days restoring the entire mountain to almost the same state as before. Shen Yun also took the time to visit the place where the monster beasts were raised. There was nothing major happening there. It was just that the surge in spiritual energy in the past few days had reduced the production of sky spider silk. There was no other major impact. It's all packed up. Next time I retreat, I will set up an isolation array directly on the mountain. Next time, it will not affect the mountain at home. Shen Yun, who has been busy these days, has figured out that this is an increase for no reason. Due to the workload, I didn't see that researcher Lu didn't look good on himself these past few days. If it happens again, he will probably quit the job with his wife. It's best that this is the case. The new variety I just cultivated was almost killed by you. If it happens next time, I will fall out. Researcher Lu started to say harsh words. He had stayed in the Shen family for a long time and said that the staff are actually like neighbors, but they focus on their own affairs and don't come over often. The two parties also know each other's personalities relatively well, so this time researcher Lu is more open-minded in speaking. Old Lu, what nonsense are you talking about? Researcher Liu's wife patted him next to him. It's okay, it's really the fault of the family this time. Xiao Lu, you are eating at home today, and your aunt is cooking the food herself, Shen Kuliang said beside him. Okay, I'll give you some face. Researcher Lu didn't feel angry for long. This matter is considered to be in the past. Shen Yun stayed at home for a day, said hello to her family, and flew directly towards the lava. This time she planned to tame the little goldfish and refine it, so that she could reach the tribulation period more quickly and catch up. The golden elixir stage of more than 40,000 people. This time when he came to magma, Shen Yun did not go directly. Instead, he found the management of the station here. You mean to intercept the cultivators from coming in these days? The person in charge of the station frowned when he heard Shen Yun's words. This is not easy to stop. After all, those cultivators can only come here for a few days a month. No one wants to. I'm going to miss these days. Yes, I have already said hello to the above, I will use it here in the next few days. Furthermore, after I use it, I don't know if it will have the function of allowing fire cultivators to improve their cultivation level. Chen Yun didn't know whether it was the true fire of the sun that made fire cultivators practice faster, or the effect of magma, so the ugly words came to the front. This. With such serious consequences, the person in charge was silent for a moment. Wait a moment, I will contact the higher-ups. He made a phone call directly. Shen Yun was listening to the situation reported by the other party and the people above him. After a while, the call was hung up. After a while, the call came back. Shen Yun knew that this matter was done, and how to stop the cultivators was a matter for their station. Then you go over, we need to notify you quickly, and think about what to do if this place fails in the future. The superiors asked to follow Shen Yun's arrangements, but the person in charge had no choice but to clean up the mess. Sorry to trouble you. Shen Yun also felt a little sorry, but he had to do this. After all, he had important things to do, so what he did today was imperative. It's okay, this is what we should do. The person in charge stood up and said. Then I won't disturb you, I'll go up first. Shen Yun was in a hurry, so after talking to the people, he walked directly towards the lava. Looking at the boiling magma underneath, Chen Yun's spiritual consciousness directly probed down. His current spiritual consciousness was not comparable to before. There was only a slight burning sensation when he looked down. His spiritual consciousness spread over a large area and soon enveloped it. Half of the magma. She found the location of the little goldfish without much effort. Seeing a small gold-red flowing dot guarding the little goldfish, Shen Yun was stunned for a moment, and when he looked closer with his spiritual consciousness, he realized that the small dot was a small flame, as if it had just been born. It went out accidentally. Look at the little goldfish that are constantly circling around the dots. This sun has become a spirit. It is obviously a ball of fire, but now it can lay eggs to produce the next generation like a goldfish. This is great. What I was worried about before will not happen. In the future, cultivators with fire spiritual roots can continue to practice here. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 435. Whether it was because the little goldfish became a sperm or for some other reason, this was indeed long-lost good news for Shen Yun. Under the intervention of the thing above, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth has gradually stabilized, no longer spewing out in large numbers, and the treasures of heaven and earth have also reduced in large quantities and no longer appear. Now that the true fire of the sun can be split, that is really great news. Shen Yun now has no burden to make a move. But she wasn't in a hurry to take action. The small fire below could go out at any time. She had better wait for him to grow up. Shen Yun could wait. Sent a message to the person in charge at the back, saying that people can come in the next few days, and he will tell him when he needs to invite people. Shen Yun started practicing on the spot, improving his cultivation and exercising his spiritual consciousness at the same time. With her current level of cultivation, she can stay here for a long time even if she practices. The person in charge looked at the people sitting, sighed helplessly, and continued to deal with the things behind him. The top opened his mouth, and the bottom ran and broke his legs. Go to work, otherwise what should you do? The people below are about to be beaten up. Let me first inform you that if you need to practice, come here as soon as possible. In a few days, the garden may need to be closed for repairs, so that no one will come to trouble him. The following matters have been dealt with. Shen Yun was still sitting on it without moving, his consciousness kept spinning around the little goldfish, being tempered in the magma. The speed of the little goldfish is getting faster and faster, and the small dot in the middle also tends to become larger and elongated. Shen Yun looked very pleased. The other party was very fast, and it seemed that he didn't need to wait too long. Little goldfish Yang Zhenhuo must have felt surrounded by Shen Yun's spiritual consciousness, so he worked very hard. This is exactly what Shen Yun wants to see, and she is afraid of waiting a few years for it to happen. Looking at the little goldfish that was gradually taking shape underneath, Shen Yun smiled happily. He sent a letter to the person in charge below, saying that he would continue to stop people tomorrow, and then he concentrated on watching the situation below. Sun Zhenhuo was obviously very satisfied with the image of a goldfish. He used this image for 3 consecutive generations, so when a swimming little goldfish was fully formed, Shen Yun easily discovered it. Looking at the newly baked mother and son who were about to run away, Shen Yun directly trapped the other party with his spiritual consciousness. The next second, Shen Yun who was sitting on the mountain disappeared from the place. Boss, the people above suddenly disappeared, what should I do? Shen Yun's people, who had been closed for the past 2 days and had nothing to do to observe, immediately shouted to the people behind. What are you making all the fuss about? Maybe they left for something. Anyway, let's just keep watch and wait for the other party to send news before opening the door. The person in charge had faced Shen Yun directly and felt that Shen Yun was standing in front of him like an abyss. Even if no matter how stupid he is, he still knows that this person is not simple, so he is not worried at all this time. There is indeed nothing serious going on with Shen Yun here. She just jumped into the lava. With her current level of cultivation, the temperature of the magma no longer posed a threat to her. Now she quickly walked through the magma, and in a short time she reached the little goldfish, mother and son. The atmosphere was a bit tense for a moment. After all, this big little goldfish saw her mother being caught by the golden dragon with her own eyes. Now that she saw this situation, she probably expected her own fate. Shen Yun saw the other party walking around non-stop. Although the opponent has just successfully split, Shen Yun will not be lenient. She directly released the newly born small fish, controlled her consciousness to narrow the area, and surrounded the larger goldfish. Thinking about the method that A Yang left for him to collect the true fire of the sun, Shen Yun immediately started to take action. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 436. A duel unfolded silently under the magma. The true fire of the sun is not as harmless as its phantom appearance. As soon as Shen Yun moved, the opponent also began to move. He no longer struggled around in vain, but began to release the power of the true sun fire. The consciousness, which had not felt anything just now, felt like it was going to be burned away in just a moment. Shen Yun endured the burn of his consciousness and sped up the movements of his hands. The little goldfish in front of him gradually transformed into a prototype under Shen Yun's control, and became a bright true sun fire. The prototype of the true sun fire was not as harmless as the little goldfish looked. The scorching temperature made Shen Yun, who was protected by spiritual energy, feel his face hurt. If you keep messing with the other person, you will get burned. Shen Yun accelerated the confrontation with the opponent. Shen Yun now understands that the treasures of heaven, materials, and earth are destined to a person. If they are not strong enough, even if they are destined, the true fire of the sun can burn the person to the point where the ashes cannot even be seen. Shen Yun struggled to use his own strength to subdue the true fire of the sun. Looking at the real fire of the sun that was no longer violent in front of me. Shen Yun made his move directly, and watched the opponent fly into his hand obediently. Shen Yun was satisfied. It took him half a month to subdue him. Although it was slower than Jin Long, the result was good. Shen Yun directly collected the true fire of the sun. Conquering it was only the first step. Later, he had to refine it for his own use, which would take a lot of time. Looking at the docile true sun fire in his body, Shen Yun knew that there was still a big battle to be fought, and when he was ready to refine it, he would probably suffer a lot. Since the matter was done, Shen Yun had no intention of staying here any longer and took a restoring pill to repair his consciousness that had just been burned by the true fire of the sun. I checked the world of magma and saw the newly formed true sun fire not far away from me, looking a little silly. Apparently I didn't understand why my mother disappeared. Shen Yun saw that the other party's condition was stable, and no one dared to disturb its life, so it flew out of the magma. Boss, sorry, someone flew out of the lava. The people patrolling outside saw a shadow flying out of the lava, and immediately took out the intercom and started to notify others. This place is a highly protected area. Not to mention the people, if an egg is dropped, it can be cooked. Those who just came out must be aliens. What about that? The people nearby who didn't see it became anxious. They had been patrolling here for more than half a month, and they were so hot that they didn't even want to come over. In addition, there was a sign saying it was closed for rectification. No strangers came over, so everyone was extremely curious. That's what that is. It's broken. It seems to have flown towards the station below. The boss and the others are still down there. Hurry. As soon as this man said hello, the people next to him stopped caring about patrolling and rushed downstairs with their things. They didn't know that Shen Yun was working here. The person who saw Shen Yun disappear that day happened to be off work today, so the current situation was caused. As soon as Shen Yun went down and said a few words to the person in charge, he was surrounded by a group of guys with weapons at the door. What are you doing? Shen Yun couldn't tell the other party's subordinates, but when the person in charge saw the situation of several people, he immediately stood up angrily. In the past few days, no cultivators have come over, so they have started to be lazy, right? They don't even patrol. Have a good patrol. Boss, we just saw an unknown object flying out of the lava and heading this way. I searched around below and couldn't see it. We were not afraid of hurting you, so we came up to take a look. How could we know that you were visiting guests? Ah, excuse me, You continue your work, the subordinate explained quickly, closed the door quickly, and several people turned around and ran away. Shen Yun could still hear the people below looking elsewhere in the room. You've got to see a joke. Our place here is quite special, so the people below are more cautious about things they encounter. When we first started building this place, there were many fire spirit roots who did not obey our time arrangements, and secretly they came here to practice and almost had an accident, so they are so nervous now. The person in charge looked at the inscrutable Shen Yun in front of him and quickly explained. Shen Yun touched his nose in embarrassment. The person who just flew out of the lava seemed to be him. This time, he was still looking for him outside. What a joke. I'm sorry, I just came out of the magma. I have bothered you for so many days and wanted to come over and talk to you. I didn't know there was such a big misunderstanding. You see. Shen Yun explained. The person in charge was stunned for a moment, then bravely looked Shen Yun up and down. This girl is really amazing. She came up from the magma and nothing happened. Is this how an expert behaves? After being stunned, he quickly picked up the walkie-talkie at hand. Each department returned to their posts. The shadow just now has been found. I'm so sorry. Although Shen Yun is now in the integration period, he is also in a reasonable integration period. She had lived like this for the past few decades, and even after she cultivated herself, she had not learned to be domineering. It's okay, let's continue. You just said that you have used up this place and can continue to open it, right? The person in charge waved his hand. His face was obviously young, but it was a little bit old. Yes, and my use has not caused any bad effects. Don't worry, I'm here to say goodbye to you today, Shen Yun said politely. Okay, then I won't keep you here for dinner. I have to inform the people below that we are opening for business. The person in charge was happy when he heard this. Since there was no impact, he said goodbye to you. Anyway, I am not unemployed. Shen Yun was sent out like this. Before he had gone far, he saw that the temporary closure sign posted on the gate of the station had been removed. People who wanted to come in to practice immediately formed a long queue outside. Okay, no wonder people are so happy when I leave. It's not easy. Thinking about it being half a month since I left home, Shen Yun didn't waste time outside and flew straight home. I was grabbed by several people as soon as I got home. I stayed at home for a few days and was still working after leaving the customs. Then I said hello and disappeared. This time, no one came around to ask me where I was. Isn't there a good practice place over there on the mountain? I went there to practice for a few days. Oh, I know the place you mentioned. Unfortunately, I don't have fire spiritual roots, so I can't practice there. I see many people are there, Shen Chen said first. Yes, I still have the card there, and I go there several times a month. Shen Hung has fire spirit roots, and he has been to such a nearby place. Yes, that's right there. Shen Yun nodded quickly. Knowing that Shen Yun had not gone far and was not going to do anything dangerous, several elderly people at home let her go. Started to make preparations for the meal. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 437. Your strength has improved a lot this time. In seclusion after dinner, everyone else in the family was active in the valley. Shen Yun sat next to him, and soon someone sat down next to him. Shen Yun turned around and saw that it was Shen Hung. Yes, if there is no improvement in 5 years, there will be a problem, Shen Yun said with a smile. You weren't in a hurry to improve your strength before. Why have you worked so hard in the past few years? My third uncle and grandma are sometimes worried about you. They only focus on practicing every day and don't think about finding a partner, Shen Hung said jokingly. Shen Yun didn't know whether he noticed something or whether some elders in the family sent him over to check on the situation. My strength has become much higher in the past few years, and there is nothing else I need to do. Why don't I practice? As for the partner you are talking about, I can do anything by myself now, and with my current cultivation level, I can live to be 10,000 to 20,000 years old even if I don't practice. What kind of partner do you think I can find to guarantee that he will accompany me like this? Long time. Shen Heng was speechless after being questioned by Shen Yun's soul. But you can live for tens of thousands of years, are you so powerful? Shen Heng was more interested in this question. Tens of thousands of years, I couldn't even imagine living to be 100 years old before. You can live to be 200 years old in the foundation building stage now. If you continue to practice upwards and reach the golden elixir stage, you can live to be 500 years old. So if you want to live longer, then practice hard, Shen Yun said with a smile. It was the first time Shen Heng thought about cultivation from this aspect. In the past, he only wanted to improve his strength, earn more money, and then improve the quality of life at home. Now he remembered his original idea, that cultivation can make him immortal. What you said makes sense. You are so strong yourself. It is difficult to find a man who is better than you. If you have money and strength alone, and have thousands of years of carefree life, you can do whatever you want. Well, I feel a little envious just thinking about it. Shen Heng expressed his opinion on Shen Yun's opinion. Oh, you envy me. It seems I should tell my sister-in-law later that you regret getting married, Shen Yun said jokingly. That's not what I meant, please don't make false accusations, Shen Heng said pretentiously. Besides, your fourth sister-in-law is also a practitioner. Our cultivation levels are almost the same. We can grow old together in the future. Fortunately, I started early, otherwise it would be difficult to find someone this time. I am so good, and no one in the country can compare to me except you. Okay, you have foresight, Shen Yun shrugged and said with a smile. Seeing that Shen Yun was rambling here and there, Shen Heng seemed to have almost clarified the issue he wanted to understand, so he quietly winked at Yang Xiaoko and the others, and told Shen Yun, I'm going back to refine my weapons. Shen Yun didn't stop him. He watched this person leave, and then looked at his parents and grandparents who were secretly watching him. Really, if you have any questions, you can't ask yourself in person. You must tell them what you can say, but you can't. It would be useless even if he came to Shen Heng. As for the subject, Shen Yun can only say that it depends on fate. Anyway, there is no time to worry about this matter at the moment. Let's talk about this matter when you die in the future. If you die, you don't have to worry about this matter. Perfect. Shen Yun said hello to his family and walked towards the mountain. He closed himself up for a while to test the difficulty of cultivating the true sun fire. He was not like the golden dragon, which had the fire attribute and also possessed the phoenix true fire. When I went up the mountain, I didn't rush to work. Instead, I set up a formation here to isolate my mountain from other places in the mountain, so as not to make any big noise and disturb the family members. After finishing the formation, Shen Yun returned to the space and started refining the elixir. Before refining the true sun fire, she had to complete all the preparations, and this time she was not going to refining it outside. At that time, Jin Long had his father to help him block his aura. She couldn't guarantee whether she would attract the attention of the thing above if she was refining outside. In addition, she had seen the power of the true sun fire. I'm really afraid that this fire will burn down the mountain, so it's better to be safer in the space. After all the preparations were completed, Shen Yun turned his consciousness to the quiet true sun fire in his body. Licking his lips, Shen Yun controlled his consciousness and spiritual energy and stretched out towards the true sun fire. The sun real fire, which had been waiting quietly, exploded in an instant as if a spoonful of gasoline had been poured on it. Shen Yun felt as if her internal organs were wrapped in fire and burned. The pain was so painful that she vomited a mouthful of blood on the spot. Feeling the dizziness of his spiritual consciousness being burned, Shen Yun quickly bit the tip of his tongue to keep himself awake, and then stuffed a handful of pills into it. His spiritual consciousness wrapped around the true fire of the sun and quickly rotated along the cultivation route, with the power of spiritual energy behind it. Repairing the burned tendons. While burning and repairing, Shen Yun didn't know how many times he had repeated this process. He only felt that all his muscles and veins had been renewed, and the speed of the true sun fire in his body had slowed down a little. The pain also eased a bit, and Shen Yun knew that this should be a sign that he had succeeded in refining. Slowly withdraw your spiritual consciousness and spiritual energy, and feel the true fire of the sun quickly gather into a ball of flames, and the burning breath in your body also disappears. Shen Yun slowly recovered the spiritual energy that had been consumed in the past few days. When I fully recovered, I felt that my Danshan could hold more spiritual energy. After so many days of being burned and repaired over and over again, my tendons had become much wider. And his original cultivation level in the early stage of integration was directly promoted to the middle stage of integration in just a few days. I opened my eyes with my eyes closed at first, and my eyes were sparkling. The true sun fire is really an upgrade artifact. No wonder the golden dragon's cultivation level can rise so quickly. It seems that my decision at the time was right. It can also be improved quickly, and the day of transcending the tribulation period is just around the corner. She took a look at the real sun fire in her body. The excruciating pain she felt a while ago was gone. Now she could only feel that the fire in front of her was her noble one. If it weren't for the true fire of the sun, it would have taken her decades to practice from the integrated stage to the Mahayana stage, and then from the Mahayana stage to the tribulation stage. She would probably not be able to survive for tens or even hundreds of years. But now she has refined the true fire of the sun. Shiquan W pills can shorten the time by more than half. Shen Yun stood up and looked at the elixirs in his space that were almost empty and the spiritual stones that had mostly disappeared. This upgrade is fast, but it consumes a lot of money. Fortunately, I have space, otherwise I would have been burned to death from the inside of my body. Shen Yun planned to rest for 2 days and relax before continuing to refine the medicine. Haste makes waste, so give him 2 days to relax and give himself a holiday. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 438. Chapter 438, 438, let you go up the mountain to pick spiritual plants, just like a bandit coming down the mountain. Stretching, Shen Yun walked directly down the mountain. The family did not expect to see Shen Yun coming down the mountain in the past few days, and they were surprised. Why is this retreat so fast? We are not ready yet, Shen Kuliang said with a smile. Although he said this, he did not stop making plans. He took the fishing rod and prepared to go fishing and add dinner in the evening. Didn't I say before that I would just take a break this time? This stage is over, I will prepare something and then continue, Shen Yun said with a smile. What do you need? Shen Kuliang has not been in retreat. He has not seen Shen Yun and the others prepare anything for retreat several times before. This time, he is quite curious. Do they need to prepare some food or something for retreat? They usually don't eat much, but considering that Shen Yun has been in seclusion for several years, maybe he needs some snacks in the middle, otherwise it will be too boring. It's just regular preparations, Grandpa. Go and do your work while I go for a walk in the mountains. Shen Yun's regular preparations are some spiritual plants. Shen Kuliang had a lot to think about. After all, Shen Yun had to go out several times before retreating. Maybe she was embarrassed at home and went to buy snacks directly. After all, she was a big girl. Watching Shen Yun walk towards the mountain, Shen Kuliang set up the fishing rod and slowly walked into the room. Old lady, if you have nothing to do, put Yunyun's favorite food in the storage bag. She always retreats for such a long time. There will always be a bit of boredom in the middle of the day. If she wants to eat something, if we don't prepare it for her, she will go down the mountain to buy it, Shen Kuliang said softly. Yang Xiaoko didn't know why, considering that the rest of the family practiced hard during retreat, and didn't see anything to eat in between, but looking at the old man's meaningful look, Yang Xiaoko still stood up. She is a granddaughter in the family, and her treatment is of course different from others. She should be prepared. If she is in seclusion for several years and cannot come down in between, it is good to eat some food up there. The two old people quietly started to work without saying anything, just because they were afraid that their eldest granddaughter would be embarrassed. After all, they were only children eating snacks and everything else. By this time, Shen Yun had wandered up to the mountain. This place was relatively flat. There were a large area of spiritual plants planted on the hillside below, and there were 3 exquisite houses at the foot of the mountain. This was built together with the house in the Shen family valley. However, for their own privacy, the researchers chose a valley on another mountain. The house here is where the researchers live and study. From the mountain, Shen Yun could see the 3 people below working in Lingzi field. "Uncle Lu, do you still have the spiritual plants that you have hoarded at home recently?" Shen Yun shouted from the mountain. The people below straightened up and looked up. "You can still stock up on Lingzi. The longer the time, the better. Don't be ridiculous. If you want to go find it yourself, this mountain has not been cleared for several years. Come on, let's see if there's anything suitable." Researcher Lu saw through Shen Yun's purpose at a glance. In the past, he stopped people from picking spiritual plants because it was too young and there were not many. In the past few years, all the alchemists in the family had gone out and might only come back once a year. In addition, Shen Yun was in retreat. Basically, the spiritual plants did not consume much, so they took advantage of this time to speed up the planting, and the entire mountain returned to the situation where spiritual plants were everywhere as before. Coupled with the formation that Shen Yun set up in this mountain, there is more spiritual energy inside than outside, and the spiritual plants are growing better. Although they were overturned a little by the spiritual energy storm some time ago, there is no big impact. That's why researcher Lu was particularly generous this time. "Okay, then I'll take a walk by myself," Shen Yun greeted, and after receiving permission, he let himself go. There are spiritual plants all over the mountains and fields, and they are growing really well under their care. Although the year has not met my requirements, they are still fat and fat. It will be fine if they are moved to the space's own special formation for a while. Shen Yun was not polite. When he saw something suitable, he moved it into his own space. After wandering up and down the mountain for 2 days, the space was filled to the brim. He successfully received 2 looks from researcher Lu. Shen Yun went down the mountain. "Xiao Lu has been complaining to me for the past 2 days. I asked you to go up the mountain to pick spiritual plants. It's like a bandit coming down the mountain. Your stinky face makes grandma laugh when she sees it," Yang Xiaoko said with a smile when she saw Shen Yun coming down the mountain. "It's okay. When I go out next time, I will find him 2 spiritual plants that he has never seen before. Then he won't be angry." Shen Yun has figured out the other party's temper and is not afraid of the other party being angry at all. Anyway, he will be on his own for a while. "Enough. You, a narrow-minded girl, don't be bullied by Xiao Lu. By the way, your elder brother knew that you were picking spiritual plants, so he gave you a few storage bags. They were all picked by them over the years. There are no other ones at home. People can use it. Shen Heng and others have spiritual plants provided by the state outside, so they have saved them for you. In the past 2 days, your eldest brother has taken your sister-in-law to her natal home, and asked me to give the things to you." Yang Xiaoko said, turned around and walked into the room, taking out 5 storage bags at once. "Here it is, it's all for you. Go back and sort it out yourself." Yang Xiaoko directly stuffed the storage bag into Shen Yun's hand. So many, Shen Yun didn't expect there to be 5 storage bags. The brothers will occasionally go out to travel, and when they see something suitable, they pick it back. It took several years to gather this small amount. There is really not much, so use it quickly. Yang Xiaoko doesn't want too much. It's for his own home anyway. Never too much. Shen Yun had no choice but to accept this kind offer. Looking at the older grandma opposite, I calculated her age, and then I thought about my uncle and the others who also looked old. Time is not forgiving, and it seems that we still need to practice the longevity pill. This kind of pill can only be taken once by a person, and one time can only extend the lifespan by 10 years. Seeing that grandma and the others were really unwilling to practice, Shen Yun could only use pills to extend their lifespan. There were old people at home and he was still a child. If they were all gone, he would have to shoulder everything by himself. To deal with that person in the sky having to deal with things was tiring enough. Shen Yun still wanted to be pampered by his family for a while. After collecting the spiritual plant, Shen Yun was not in a hurry to continue refining. Instead, he went back to the mountain and took out the alchemy furnace to start refining the elixir. Although the true sunfire had not been completely refined by himself, he could clearly feel the elixir he had released while refining the elixir. Fire is different from before. The first time Shen Yun failed to control it, a spiritual plant was burned to ashes. The true fire of the sun is really powerful. Shen Yun tried it several times before he found the fire power suitable for making alchemy. After getting used to it, I discovered that refining the elixir was much faster than before. When the elixirs were obtained, although they were all top-quality elixirs, Shen Yun felt that the elixirs were more powerful than those he had concocted before. The sun is really hot, it's really a good thing. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 439. Early the next morning, Shen Yun went down the mountain with a bottle of elixir. Several people in the family, as well as his aunt, had to take this elixir. Shen Yun went down the mountain and called several elderly people in his family together. Yun Yun, why did you call us all here? A few people didn't know why. Shen Libo was planning to go down the mountain with his second brother to see his family's land today, but he didn't know that Shen Yun would call him here early in the morning. I've given you a bottle of elixir to strengthen your body. Each of you will take one pill, and then I will give another pill to my aunt. Shen Yun took out the elixir and poured one pill each. We are all in good health, why are you wasting your time? Shen Libo didn't understand. Oh, aren't you old? Eat quickly, Shen Yun urged. Eat, 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 such filial piety, hurry up, one by one, it's not poison. Yang Xiaoko took the lead and ate directly. One pill per person, and watching people eat it made Shen Yun feel relieved. I'm going to my aunt's house. Do you want to bring anything? Shen Yun asked his grandma. Bring your aunt back. Anyway, she is retired now. Your cousin's children are all in school. She doesn't need to take care of her anymore. Bring your aunt back, Yang Xiaoko said directly. Huang Bin got married not long after Shen Yun went into seclusion last time, and now the children are very big. Shen Huan originally retired and was helping to take care of the children, but now that the children are in elementary school and the mother is the teacher at the school, she doesn't have to worry about it anymore. She just wants to live in the mountains for a while and stay with her parents. There are so many geniuses, and the daughter-in-law at home discussed it. As soon as Shen Yun came over and said he wanted to pick her up, she happily started packing her things. I used to miss my grandchildren when I didn't have them, but now that I have them, I realize that the children now are not as easy to take care of as before, and they are no longer naughty. If I had no other choice, I would have gone to the mountains to enjoy the blessings with my mother and them. Shen Huan watched his wife go out to pack things, and Shen Yun complained in a low voice. Shen Yun thought about the state of his aunt in the past and smiled knowingly. Sure enough, after taking care of children for a long time, something was a little abnormal. Fortunately, she has no thoughts of getting married and looking for a partner at the moment, but with her own level of cultivation, she may not be able to give birth to children even if she gets married. After all, the higher the level of cultivation, the more difficult it is to have children. This is recorded in the classics left by the ancestors. I told you earlier that I would move to the valley and see if you disturb the world of my cousin and my cousin-in-law, Shen Yun said with a smile as he watched his cousin-in-law come in from behind. This cousin-in-law was not very familiar with Shen Yun. When Shen Yun said this, she smiled sheepishly. Mom has worked hard for so many years. I asked her to rest at home, but she didn't want to, my cousin explained politely. I'm older, and your grandma and the others are older. I'll go over and stay with them, one more year and one less year. You and Huang Bin have nothing to do at home and go to Tianatian's grandma's house. Your in-laws are just you and your brother. Hey, your brother is still going to school outside. You go back and help them more. Shen Huan took his wife's hand and comforted her. Sure enough, when my cousin-in-law heard this, she couldn't control the smile on her face. People on both sides parted at the door of the house in a satisfied mood. Shen Yun came out with Shen Huiyan's large and small bags. Free. Shen Huiyan sighed. Auntie, it's not my brother who is angry with you at home every day. Do you want me to go over and teach him a lesson? Shen Yun said deliberately from the side. No, who would be angry with me? Your sister-in-law is also a nice person. You either don't understand your brother, or you just take care of the children at home every day. It's very boring. Now I want to go to the valley to be with my mother and father. I feel good just thinking about it, Shen Huiyan said with a smile. Okay, since my cousin didn't make you angry, let him go. This is for you to eat to strengthen your body. Eat it so that you can help grandma. In the past, Shen Yun took the pill. He took it out and handed it to Shen Huiyan. Shen Huiyan didn't say anything and just stuffed the elixir into his mouth. Shen Yun flew directly back to the mountains with his people. It's better to be at home. I've been married for decades and I'm finally back, Shen Huiyan said with emotion as he looked at Baiyun village passing below. In the blink of an eye, Shen Yun brought the person back to the mountain. The whole family gathered together lively, and Yang Xiaoko had prepared the feast. The room is well arranged. The next day, Chen Yun started refining the true sun fire again. Although there was no latest training progress from the capital city, according to their daily training plan, even if they did not improve quickly, they continued to improve steadily. I have to work hard myself. At the beginning, we still prepared elixirs. This time we had enough spiritual plants. Shen Chen and the others picked high-quality spiritual plants when they went out to pick them, so Shen Yun could still use them. They were immediately refined into elixirs, and then Shen Yun began to refine the true sun fire. This time it wasn't as painful as last time, but the true sun fire was rushing through the muscles and veins without any scruples. Although Shen Yun didn't vomit blood anymore, his whole body was steaming and smoking, and he felt like he was soaked in boiling water. It's the same inside, one word: hot. This retreat was not short. It took half a year for Shen Yun to refine the true sun fire. Looking at the flames dancing on his palms, the temperature was extremely high, but Chen Yun's hands could not feel anything. It's really a good thing to feel your own cultivation in the middle and late stages of the Mahayana period. The period of tribulation is not far away. As soon as Shen Yun came out of seclusion, he received news from the outside. The more than 40,000 people had been stable for a period of time in the middle stage of foundation building. They would then conduct a half-year retreat to attack the later stage of foundation building. The results would be obtained by then. She will be notified. After reading the content of Sci-fi, Chen Yun felt confident. People on both sides have been accommodating each other. The more than 40,000 people there were afraid that they would practice too fast and Chen Yun's side would not be able to keep up. After all, the foundation period was about to end. The difficulty of the elixir stage cannot be compared with the combination stage to the tribulation stage. The last time Shen Yun left the country, he sent news to the capital city about his latest cultivation progress. After discussion with the capital city, he decided to speed up the process. After all, not everyone is like Shen Yun, who has no barriers to cultivation and has accumulated spiritual energy. That's enough. Promotion is a smooth process, and many people still face a small threshold when they advance. So it is very necessary to speed up cultivation. However, Chen Yun estimated that the tens of thousands of people in this batch basically have second and third spiritual roots. It would be unrealistic to cultivate to the golden elixir stage within 5 years. After all, these few in his family are for comparison, with such a strong aura on the mountain and the combination of elixirs, no one in my family has entered the golden elixir stage except myself. So Shen Yun is confident that he can meet the requirements before their golden elixir. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 440. Chapter 440, 440, Flying with a license does not seem to be difficult to understand. A message was sent directly back, and I reported my progress to the people over there. In the past 6 months, if I have been promoted again, the people there should be notified. The processes of both parties must be unified to avoid getting sidetracked in time. After leaving the mountain, I saw that the spiritual plants around the mountain had been replenished. It seemed that researcher Lu and the others had not been idle in the past 6 months. All the vacancies he had taken out were filled. As expected, he was just talking when he was angry. However, considering that the other party was so old, Chen Yun still took out a spiritual plant from the space that did not exist in the outside world. There was no rush to go to the valley, and he went directly to give the things to the other party. Researcher Lu saw Shen Yun coming here again after only half a year, and he was so frightened that he stared at Shen Yun. "Why are you here again? Let's talk about it first. The spiritual plants on the mountain haven't recovered yet, so we are not allowed to go there again. Take it, otherwise I won't do it, and I will take my wife back to my hometown." Hearing the threat from the other party, Shen Yun was speechless for a moment. He was treating himself as a thief. Wasn't it because last time 2/3 of the spiritual plants were pulled out, and no seeds were left? "I'm not here to get spiritual plants this time. I just want to ask you, I met a spiritual plant outside that is not in the valley. I wonder if you want it." Shen Yun took out the spiritual plant directly. Researcher Lu himself was holding a shovel in his hand. When he heard what Shen Yun said, he leaned the shovel against the wall doubtfully and walked over. First, he looked at the spiritual plant in Chen Yun's hand. All the spiritual plants in the mountain were in his mind. Now he saw that the one in Chen Yun's hand was indeed not in the plant map on his mountain, and he was in the spiritual plant encyclopedia. As seen above, it is a spiritual plant that can refine elixirs to repair spiritual consciousness. Very precious. Never seen it? There is none at home. Give it to me. Even if you still have some snacks, you know how to bring me something when you come back. Not only do you know how to dig for spiritual plants, I won't roll my eyes at you next time you come over to dig for spiritual plants. But not today, Researcher Lu said carefully. He took the spiritual plant, praised Shen Yun, and then immediately started to fall out. No matter what he gave, he couldn't dig up the spiritual plant today. What kind of employer is nothing compared to his precious spiritual plants? These little seedlings all over the mountains and plains are his own. If we don't dig today, there will be no demand in the near future. Shen Yun defended himself. Okay, let's go back quickly. Haven't we been out for half a year? Why don't we go home and meet people? After achieving his goal, Researcher Lu turned around and went to work on his own affairs in his home laboratory. Shen Yun smiled, turned around and walked towards his home valley. The valley was still peaceful and quiet. Before Shen Yun even got close, he could hear the sound of laughter coming from him. "Auntie, auntie." The first ones to notice Shen Yun were a few boys, who happily flew towards Shen Yun. Suddenly, there was a cry of pigeons in the valley, "Auntie, take us to fly." Several boys in the family like this activity. It is very pleasant to sit on the flying carpet and eat and play at the same time. But I don't have enough time now and can't take them out for a walk, so they haven't gone out for a long time except for going to school. You guys, don't just count on your aunt. Work hard and get promoted to foundation establishment as soon as possible. Then let your fourth uncle refine a magical weapon that can fly for you. Then you can go wherever you want, Shen Yun said with a smile. "Auntie, you lied to us. Now there are policies outside. You can fly only if you are over 18 years old, and you need to pass the test. Otherwise, there are too many people flying in the sky, and what will happen if they collide with each other?" The eldest son of Shen Chen's family was confused at this time. "I am in high school, so I know more." When I heard what Shen Yun said, I immediately knew that he was deceiving them. "Oh, there's another thing. I really don't know. It turns out that my aunt used to drive without a license. In this case, we can't go out to play. I haven't tested it." Shen Yun really didn't have the certificate, but this is the first time I heard about this request. However, considering that airplanes must follow a special route when flying, as a cultivator in modern society, flying with a certificate does not seem to be difficult to understand. I feel like I suddenly have a lot more things to do and I need to take a certificate test. Shen Yun was originally omnipotent in the eyes of several children, but when she heard Shen Yun say that she didn't have a flight certificate, she instantly felt that her omnipotent aunt had fallen off the altar. "Okay, let's wait until I turn 18 before taking the exam." The eldest nephew no longer has hope for Shen Yun. The aunt actually doesn't even know about the exam. She is no longer an omnipotent aunt. All the children looked at his brother with envy. "Tisk, you brat, we still have 2 questions about whether you can reach the foundation building stage by then. Don't talk big words yet." Chen Yun's words are a general blow. Children at home can cultivate. They are all practicing, and they all know that building a foundation is not easy. At this moment, Shen Yun's words inspired their fighting spirit. Seeing the little kids going back to their rooms with great energy and preparing to work harder, Shen Yun walked towards Grandma and the others with a smile. "Auntie is getting used to living here." Shen Yun first looked at Shen Huiyan next to him, who was in a good mood and looked good. "I'm eating well and sleeping well. Of course I'm in a good mood. Plus, I don't have to take care of the children myself. Now I'm watching my sister-in-law take care of the children. I don't know how happy I am," Shen Huiyan said with a smile. Sure enough, the horse-catching thing didn't happen to him. On the body, I am happier than anyone else watching the excitement. Don't be too happy too early. Didn't Binbin just say 2 days ago that the child is on vacation and is going to be sent over for you to take care of for a few days? Wang Ifen was very unhappy with the excitement and immediately talked about Shen Huiyan. "It's okay. Anyway, the children at home are getting older. Let them play with their sister when the time comes, and then see if they can practice with the family." Shen Huiyan felt relieved. There was no danger in the valley anyway, and there was no danger at home. The few boys here are all stable, and when the time comes, they will go out to play with the children, so there is nothing to worry about. The family members don't have any objections. Anyway, let's test it. If she has a talent for cultivation and her parents are willing to let her practice, then they will definitely not stop her. Anyway, people outside have to teach her, and they are all members of her own family, and they must teach her well. Teach. Chen Yun listened for a while Grandma and the others talked about their daily routine, and then walked towards the demonic eye. Since he had refined the sunfire, he went over to see if the equipment over there was ready. "Okay, Just take this time to put the equipment in, so that at least you don't have to worry about dealing with that guy in the sky. When I got there, I saw large machinery at work. The person in charge, whom I had met a few years ago, seemed to be even more haggard from working in the past few years. End of this chapter.